Hello, Milwaukee Bucks fans. Welcome back to Bucks Latest, presented by FanArch.com. I'm your host, Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, turning on post notifications to stay up to date with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates. Okay, today we have another edition of Prospect Watch because the Bucks have added Liberty University guard Talon Peter to their draft workout list, according to Hoops Hype. They add yet another prospect to their list of guys that they're going to work out prior to the June 25th NBA draft. So, Peter participated in 35 games for Liberty this past season and started just 2 of them. Still, he managed to average about 13.7 points, 4 rebounds, but the manner in which he did it is the ridiculous part. His efficiency was off the charts, especially for a 6'4" shooting guard. 57.8% from the field, 45.3% from 3, and 22.7 minutes of action. One of the most efficient players, and not just guards, in the entire country. He's a wonderful scoring threat that can both race from end to end, go coast to coast in transition, and he also is able to play at his own pace in the half court. He is an underrated athlete, and of course, he's just an extremely polished offensive threat in general with an automatic jumper to boot. But according to Fansided's Dalton Sell, the Bucks could have a lot of interest in Peter with the number 47 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. And I quote from Sell, "Though the scoring is impressive, Peter lacks much presence as a facilitator, averaging just an assist to 0.6 turnovers per game in 2024-25. Sure, he could aim to work at that at the NBA level, but it's a red flag amidst these early draft evaluations." So there's concern with his playmaking, but I would actually beg to differ that Peter, from what I've seen, is a pretty talented playmaker, at least in the pick and roll. He's good at little pocket passes, drop-off passes to the roller. He's gifted, especially going towards the rim, going up in the air, getting his defender to go up in the air, and then given a dump-off pass to his big guy at the rim. But Sell states that while he's a nice player, the Milwaukee Bucks likely won't spend their 47th overall selection on Peter. He's much likelier to go undrafted. If that does happen, perhaps the Bucks could pick him up to join their summer league squad. If he were to impress there, Milwaukee could look to keep him around in some capacity, likely down in the G League with the Wisconsin Herd as a project prospect. So that's from Dalton Sell. But for me, I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility for Milwaukee to try and take Peter with the selection. He is just an amazing, impressive scorer at the college level. And I think a lot of parts of his game could translate to the NBA, specifically his shooting. He's got great ball handling. He, again, plays at his own pace in the half court. He likes snaking through different screening actions. He uses a lot of Gortat screens from his big guys to get easy layups at the rim. He's just a professional out there, and again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the Bucks to take him at number 47, though he might fall undrafted. He definitely has the skills, at least as a scorer, to warrant being drafted late in the second round by any team, and not just the Bucks. But anyways, moving on from draft-related things, we covered Stephen A. Smith's egregiously terrible take that Giannis would be an underachiever if he never won another NBA title again for the rest of his career on one of our latest episodes. And it appears that Giannis was ready to finally respond to these claims because NBA insider Mo Muncy took some time to clap back at Smith's claims in his own response on X, where he said, and I quote, "Giannis went from selling sunglasses on a beach in Greece to a multimillionaire who won a championship without having to run off and create a super team. He has overachieved his wildest dreams, and anyone who thinks otherwise is ridiculous." So upon seeing this, Giannis himself responded to Muncy's response with several 100 emojis and a fire emoji. Of course, Giannis won't want to go into a full detail and a whole debacle with Stephen A. Smith online, but just about how wrong his statement was. But the emojis sufficed as a thank you to Muncy specifically for backing the 2-time MVP up. And, it gave Giannis an avenue to, show somebody love that agreed that this take is just absolutely atrocious, that he's an underachiever. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 2-time MVP, 9-time All-NBA selection, 2021 NBA Finals MVP. He's an underachiever. But that's just according to Stephen A. Smith. Moving on to some free agency news. On Monday, the Bucks' Bobby Portis, he made an appearance on FanDuel TV's Run It Back, and he talked about different trade rumors, his upcoming free agency, and he managed to get in the topic of Giannis Antetokounmpo's trade saga and all the things happening with that, and how it's unraveling for the Bucks superstar. And Portis himself, he stated that as a basketball fan, and if he's playing 2K, it's cool to move a guy around, speaking of Giannis, and if I'm talking real life, a number 34 Antetokounmpo jersey in Toronto, just as an example that he would play for the Raptors, it just looks weird, and you can't help but agree with Bobby Portis because Giannis Antetokounmpo in any other jersey would look insanely odd because the guy's played his whole, 12-year career, 13-year career as a member of the Bucks, and he's done so much for this city. He's obviously built a legacy in this city, and it's just definitely, it would be jarring to see Giannis in a different jersey. Much how, obviously they're not the same level of player, but seeing a guy like Karl Anthony Towns last year, as a member of the Timberwolves, then just get flipped to the Knicks just before training camp was set to start. And Karl Anthony Towns, a guy who was previously, I think he played his first 9 years, I want to say, 9 seasons as a member of the Timberwolves, and then just seeing him or imagining him in any other jersey just feels wrong. So, but of course, Cat ended up going to New York, almost getting that team to the finals, and he's got some good things going for him so far. Even if he were to potentially get traded in another big move, head to another team, Cat did some great things in his first year in a different jersey, and there's no doubt that Giannis would absolutely turn the tables for any team that were to acquire him, and he would just completely change the complexion of any team he went to, and with a different jersey that he would don overnight. But this is a promising update for not just Giannis potentially staying in Milwaukee, as he stated in previous updates that he wants to go back to the finals as a Buck. He wants to win another championship as a Milwaukee Buck. But this could also be a good update for Portis himself, who will either have the opportunity to accept about a $13.4 million player option, or he could go to the Bucks and ask to restructure a new extension on a lower annual salary but longer extension. So it could be seen as a good update for Portis, because with him talking about how weird it would be to see Giannis, a guy of his caliber, go to a different team, wear a different jersey, maybe Portis is also hinting at himself and his situation, saying that, it might be weird for me too to go to a different team, to be a part of a different franchise and not wear this Bucks uniform after all he's done for this franchise, winning a championship or helping in a large part to win a championship for this franchise, and all he's meant to Milwaukee these past couple of years. So he could have been indirectly hinting that he also feels as though it just wouldn't be right for him to go to a different team to wear a different jersey. So great update, obviously, in terms of Giannis as well, because they're close, and you would hope that his words have some weight in terms of Giannis's decision making. Will he request a trade? What are his thoughts at the moment? But could also be great in terms of Portis's perspective himself. Anyways, moving to our last segment of the day. Fansided's William Moxon recently came out, and he expanded on some of the Bucks' possible free agency targets at the guard position, but he keyed in on one specifically, and that was Dennis Schroeder of the Detroit Pistons, who came off a pretty wild year. Started out as a Brooklyn Net. He was going crazy trying to up his trade stock as the deadline approached. He eventually got traded to the Golden State Warriors, didn't play well at all, then was subsequently moved to the Detroit Pistons in the huge Jimmy Butler trade. So he was redirected a couple of times, but when he got to Detroit in the regular season, he wasn't amazing. In his last, I want to say, about 23, 24 regular season appearances for Detroit. But in the postseason, in the Pistons' first-round series against the Knicks, Dennis Schroeder went nuts relative to the amount of time that he played. But he was amazingly efficient. 12.5 points, 3.7 assists, 1.2 steals, 49.1% from the field, 47.6% three-point shooting. All the while trying to play the best defense that he possibly could against a guy like Jalen Brunson, who is one of the best playoff risers that we've seen in recent history. So he wasn't really able to contain Jalen Brunson, who probably averaged a cool 30 for the series, but Dennis Schroeder himself as a scorer proved that he could elevate his game as well when it came to the postseason. When it mattered most, Dennis Schroeder was able to put the ball in the basket. He was aggressive, attentive on defense, and he played with a purpose. And that could be an attractive asset for the Milwaukee Bucks to potentially get involved in. They could try to pursue a guy like Dennis Schroeder, who is just a consummate professional, and he's very crafty, he's very sneaky, again, just a pretty solid defensive talent. And you know what he's going to do offensively. When he had his own team, I guess you could say, in Brooklyn, he was a legitimate star, and if he stayed with the Brooklyn Nets throughout this season, there's a chance he could have been in all-star talks. He was putting up those kinds of numbers throughout the first couple of weeks of the season, or a couple of months. So Dennis Schroeder could definitely be a guy to take some people's spots in terms of if Gary Trent Jr. were to leave, if Kevin Porter Jr. were to leave, with Damian Lillard being out for possibly the entirety of next season, Dennis Schroeder could be a guy, again, just a consummate professional that comes in and can handle the offensive capability or the offensive responsibility. He has the ability to do so in terms of pick and roll ball handling and navigating the offense and finding his own shot, getting other guys involved. Dennis Schroeder just knows what he's doing out there. And if he can score efficiently on top of all of his other abilities, whether it be on-ball defense or just being a connective piece that gets guys involved, he could be a pretty good option for the Bucks. And fan side is William Moxon specifically made a point to say, and I quote, "Bringing in an experienced point guard like Schroeder would ease the pressure on Ryan Rollins and give him another veteran to learn from. That is, if Rollins comes back as a free agent as well. Even when Lillard returns, Schroeder can lead the second unit and has shown an ability to provide a scoring punch as a starter and off the bench." So, like I said, whenever the role calls for it, whether he has to be that spark, that sixth man scorer, or he has to really step into a starting point guard role, Dennis Schroeder can easily do both. And these are some reasons why he could be a great free agency target for the Milwaukee Bucks, especially if they can get him on a more bargain deal. Anyways, that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching Bucks Latest, presented by fanarch.com. I've been Dean Simon. Please, again, consider liking, subscribing, turning on those post notifications to stay up to date with all of the latest rumors, trending topics, and updates regarding the Milwaukee Bucks. So, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Go Bucks.